On South Africa's very doorstep, an unthinkable horror is already unfolding. Christians are being hunted down, churches are being torched, and entire villages are being wiped out by Islamic terrorists. Yet, our own media and government remain utterly silent, as if just pretending the ever-intensifying religious war on our very border isn't happening will somehow make it all go away. In Mozambique, a wave of radical Islamic terror has been raging for years now, but only now is the true scale of this crisis coming to light. Thousands upon thousands of Christians have been brutally slaughtered already, and hundreds of thousands displaced. And in today's video, we're finally pulling back the curtain on what's really happening in our neighboring country, and why it may, if things don't change drastically, soon become the youngest Islamic state in the world, right on our very doorstep. Earlier this week, news broke of yet another Islamic terrorist attack in Mozambique. The town of Napala in Cabo Delgado suffered a full-scale attack by Islamic terrorists who burned down no less than 2,500 homes, almost the entire village, and killed 4 elderly Christian women. The jihadists reportedly also burned down the only 2 churches in the village and kidnapped 4 children between the ages of 10 and 13. This attack is just the most recent of dozens of similar attacks by Al-Shabaab, one of the 2 radical Islamist terrorist groups who currently are active in Mozambique, the other being ISIS. Both these groups are currently launching attack after attack in the Cabo Delgado and Nampula provinces, and it is estimated that this year alone nearly 400 people have been killed in Islamic terror attacks in Mozambique, with a total tally of deaths since these Islamist groups first became active in 2017, now totaling well over 6,000. Most of these are Christian, most of these are women and children. On top of this, tens of thousands of people have been displaced from their homes in the region over the course of this year alone. Now, even as the conflict starts to have a dire socio-economic impact on the Southern African region as a whole, the mainstream media and the government of South Africa remains eerily quiet about what's going on and the intensifying crisis on our border. But what led to the rise of radical Islamic terror in Mozambique, and how does it affect the region as a whole? Stay tuned, because in today's video we expose the truth about what's going on in South Africa's northeastern neighbor country. Islam in itself actually has a very long history in Mozambique, dating as far back as the 12th century when the Swahili people settled in the northern part of Mozambique. These Swahili people accepted the Islamic faith through interaction with Persian and Arab slave traders who traded goods with the local peoples and also took many of them as slaves. Over time, Islam became well established in the coastal and island communities, and by the time the Portuguese arrived in the early 16th century, large portions of the coastal town populations were already practicing Muslims. With the arrival of the Portuguese, however, everything changed. Christianity spread in the region for the first time and soon became the only dominant religion in the country. Christian missions backed by colonial institutions established churches and schools and hospitals throughout the territory, enabling a more widespread and uniform Christianization over time. In the 18th century, Portugal actively banned the slave trade that had been established by the Muslim merchants in the area, and by the 19th century, because of this banned slave trade, Islam had virtually lost all of its inroads that it previously had in this area. During the mid-19th century, however, the Sultanate of Zanzibar, under the Al Busaid dynasty, exerted significant influence on the East African coast, spreading Islam once again to the region of northern Mozambique. The involvement of Zanzibar Sultanate helped shift northern Mozambique from being peripheral to the Swahili Islamic world into being more integrated with it. The combination of trade, intermarriage, and religious networks meant that Islam became embedded not just in the coastal towns but gradually among inland communities in the north of this country. These links help explain why, even today, the northern provinces of Mozambique, such as Cabo Delgado and Nampula, have a stronger Islamic presence and Swahili cultural trait compared to more southern regions. The Portuguese cultural influence was always far greater in the south, and so when Frelimo terrorists started threatening in the 1970s, there were suggestions to split Mozambique and to establish an independent Portuguese homeland in the south of which was in and around Lourenço Marques, which would have been called República do Sol. At the time, some right-wing factions within Estado Novo advocated this idea as a fallback plan to save the Mozambican Portuguese people. While there's no link between Frelimo and the Islamists, the destabilizing effect of their revolution created the breeding ground for radical Islamic terrorism in Mozambique. Initially, Frelimo, the communist organization backed by Cyril Ramaphosa at the time, banned all religion, declaring atheism as the only state religion. And in 1979, they launched an active campaign to close down both every Christian church and every Islamic mosque. They softened their stance in the 1980s, but this initial crackdown incited heavy resistance, particularly in the north, where Islam was already a long-established religion among the coastal Mwani and Macau populations. The combination of impoverishment, identity grievance, limited state reach, and the discovery of offshore gas and mineral potential in the northern Cabo Delgado created an opening for extremist recruiters. Between independence in the 70s and today, the Islamic share of Mozambique population, despite this forced atheistic religion, rose from just over 15% to about 25% today. It is very possible and even likely that Mozambique, despite Islamists being a minority, might soon become the world's youngest Islamic state. The case of this happening would rest on the strategic trajectory of the Cabo Delgado insurgency, demographic momentum in the north, and the state's persistent government failures. Islamist militants in Cabo Delgado have already shown the ability to occupy towns, impose Sharia rule, and displace hundreds of thousands, demonstrating not just terrorism, but territorial ambition. Mozambique's weak state capacity, chronic corruption, and reliance on foreign forces suggest that if international support for Mozambique wanes, the government may struggle to hold the north long term and might very well be overthrown by these Islamic terrorists. The insurgency also benefits from cross-border support networks in Tanzania and the wider East African jihadist ecosystem, while socio-economic neglect in Muslim-majority northern provinces provides a fertile recruitment base. With the government failing to deliver any visible benefit from massive natural gas reserves to local populations, resentment is deepening by the day. In this scenario, continued insurgent reliance combined with state fragility and regional jihadist coordination could very well make northern Mozambique evolve into a de facto Islamic state within, let's say, the next 5 years, and potentially spreading south if the central state even weakens further than it already is weakened. While that is not yet fully the case as it stands, though very likely in the near future, what we are witnessing in Mozambique today is nothing short of a full-scale war already on Christians. Entire villages have been burned to the ground, pastors are being beheaded by the day, and thousands of believers are being driven from their homes simply because of their faith. The northern provinces have become zones of terror where Islamic fighters torch churches, loot Christian homes, abduct children, all under the black flags of groups openly aligned with ISIS. The world's silence on this unfolding persecution is deafening, but none more so than the South African government, on whose very doorstep all this is happening. The government has issued no high-profile condemnations of targeted persecution of Christians, nor has President Cyril Ramaphosa or DIRCO, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, used their platforms to speak out in defense of the victims. It would seem as if the Government of National Unity seems incredibly fearful of taking any stance that could be labeled as pro-Christian or, of course, Islamophobic. Of course, the Islamist party Al-Jamaah is one of the ANC's coalition parties in the current Government of National Unity, with its leader Ghanief Hendricks serving as Ramaphosa's Deputy Minister of Social Development. Mozambique lies right on South Africa's doorstep, and yet while hundreds of Christians are slaughtered in the name of jihad, just a few hundred kilometers to the north, the mainstream media in this country is almost completely silent, too afraid to call out the ongoing religious persecution for what it truly is, and only sporadically reporting on an issue that is now starting to have a very big economic impact on the region as a whole, and that is starting to look like a complete takeover of the Mozambique government might be possible in the future. This week, it was even reported that the French energy firm Total Energies is lifting the force majeure status on its $20 billion LNG project, 4 years after Islamic militant attacks in the Cabo Delgado province brought construction to a complete halt. The fact that insurgents affiliated with the Islamic State have executed over 519 attacks thus far this year and killed thousands since 2017 and displaced hundreds of thousands is undermining investor confidence, of course, disrupting regional energy markets and threatening the economic lifeline of not just Mozambique, but Southern Africa as a whole. All of the mayhem and destruction that is now characterizing Mozambique is a direct result of the communist revolution of the 70s, which turned this formerly great nation into a pigsty. For a full overview on the history and fall of Mozambique, check out this recent video by clicking on the link appearing on your screen right now. And consider supporting our work by becoming a paid member of the Willem Petsche Group. Only through your help can we continue making these videos to change the hearts and minds of people. Just follow the simple steps on the banner underneath me. Goodbye and God bless.